We continue now talking about electric vehicles. 5 years ago, the electric car industry was written off following the failure of GM's highly anticipated EV1. Since then, it's undergone a revival for a range of reasons, including high oil prices and environmental concerns. There's a new movie out called Revenge of the Electric Car. It documents the industry's recent fortunes. Here is a look at the trailer.
This is the most secure location that we can find in the building. You notice we have plenty of security down here.
There's a degree of excitement around electric vehicles we hadn't seen before.
But somebody's got to be the first one out there.
We need a lot of people trying a lot of different things, and then we see what emerges.
It's a race. It's a total race.
You know, until we see every car on the road being electric, we will not stop.
Oh, Elon's going to lose his shirt. Elon's going to get crushed.
God damn it, we got to get these cars out.
Things keep coming along from people outside the car business. They all fall on their butts.
You didn't get the message. Give us the cars that we want.
I got the flood of emails saying, you sold out to the oil companies and you've killed my grandchildren. I hope you rot in hell.
They have based their whole company strategy on it. If it fails, there might not be a Nissan.
You need to predict the future, prepare for it. If it happens, we'll be ready.
These are people who are not going to wait around to have the solution delivered to them.
I want to show the world that it's really possible.
This is the future, and it's attainable.
Revenge of the Electric Car. Joining me now, two of the film stars. Elon Musk is the co-founder and CEO of Tesla Motors. Bob Lutz spearheaded GM's Chevy Volt, as you know from our previous conversation. I'm pleased to have them join me now in a conversation about electric vehicles. Did I hear you say in that clip, I have not yet seen the movie? Anybody who comes from outside thinks they can do something is going to fall on their butt.
Yeah, because what happens is they have a brilliant thought, but they have a great deal of difficulty implementing it because they underestimate the knowledge and technology and experience required to actually build a car. Elon went through quite a bit of that, and
we did go
after about 2 years of struggle, they began to think, you know, maybe those guys in Detroit aren't that dumb after all.
Well, I never thought the guys in Detroit were dumb. I think that sometimes the media tries to create more of an antagonistic position than is really the case. Yeah. I'm actually really supportive of any efforts like the Volt or the Leaf or anything that goes in the direction of sustainable transport. Mm-hmm. The whole purpose behind Tesla, the reason that I put so much time and effort into creating it, was to serve as a catalyst for transition to electric vehicles.
All right. Has he succeeded beyond what you expected?
Yes, I think Elon and Tesla had kind of a rocky spell there, and the Roadster being at $100,000+ car, but only seating 2, that is a very thin market segment. Yeah. And after about a year, everybody who wants one has one, but almost. I don't have mine yet. But the transition to the 4-door sedan, I think that is going to open the window to a much broader market and to a sustainable commercial future.
Right. Here's a picture of that 4-door sedan. What you said to me, you think is a fine-looking automobile.
Yes, I do. I think it's clearly one of the best styled medium-sized to large-sized 4-door sedans in the world today.
So are you betting the company on the success of this?
We are.
See, they're straight talk, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So this has got a success. So how did you go about the design?
First of all, I should maybe just preface it by saying that the strategy of Tesla from the beginning has always been to start with a low-volume, high-priced car, then go to a medium-volume, mid-priced car, and then
end up with
low-price, high-volume.
Right.
And sometimes people think that the reason we started with the sports car is because I thought there was a shortage of sports cars for rich people. That was not the reason. It was simply that anything we produced would be expensive because we did not have the economies of scale necessary to make things inexpensive. So having done the Roadster, which was very, very difficult, you can imagine as a new car company trying to sell an electric sports car during let's call it the worst car market since the Great Depression, presented a challenge. But we managed to get through that narrowly, and now we're on the verge of delivering the sedan, the four-door sedan, the Model S. And it's really quite a significant leap forward. I can tell you a little bit about that. It's got a range of over, this is pure electric, it's got a range of over 300 miles. There's a performance version that'll do 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, which is faster than a Porsche 911 Carrera. It'll actually be 5-star crash rated in every category, without exception, by 2012 standards. This is a very difficult thing to meet. In fact, my understanding is that there is not a single vehicle that is 5-star crash rated in every category by 2012 standards. So we will be the only one. So it will be the safest car.
So what does he need to know, Bob, at this stage?
I think they've got obviously a brilliant design staff, a very sound engineering staff. They've got a great production facility in the old NUMMI plant in Fremont, California. Yeah, dealer network is going to be a challenge. Having sufficient marketing money is going to be a challenge, but I think this has a high chance of success.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Because he's got all the things, at least significant,
he's got the important things right. Here's the problem. You've got a sound product, and 90% of this business is having as you and I were saying earlier, 90% of this business is having a product that people want. And part of making them wanted is the design. Right. Nobody buys you could have a 400-mile range. If it was ugly, nobody would buy it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's sad, but that's the truth.
Aesthetics are extremely...
Mile range. If it was ugly, nobody would buy it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's sad, but that's the truth.
Aesthetics are extremely important.
Yeah. So how much is it going to cost?
Starting price of $50,000.
$50,000 for the car that we just saw.
Yeah, starting price. It's kind of like a BMW 5 Series. Starts at around $50K, goes up to $100K. So if you get the high performance version with all the extras, it could be $100K. But the base model is $50K, and it looks just like the one you just pictured.
Mm-hmm. So the movie.
Yeah.
What it documents is the fact that what you did in announcing the Tesla, you used to spur the development of the Chevy Volt.
Yeah, because I wanted to really leapfrog Toyota with all of the accolades. They were being elevated to godlike status because of the Prius, and I was convinced that Toyota's next act was going to be a fully electric car. So I wanted to do one, at least as a show car, and I was told that the only good reason I heard was the whole automobile industry is in litigation with the state of California over the EV mandates. How's it going to look for our case if we're litigating against California and then we put one on the show stand? Well, that argument I kind of understood, but all the other arguments were, well, lithium-ion isn't going to work. Lithium-ion is years away from being capable of being a car battery. And then Tesla announced the Roadster with, I think it was 0 to 60 in like 4.5. And then Tesla announced the Roadster with, I think it was 0 to 60 in like 4.5 seconds, 120 mile an hour top speed, 200 mile range, which I thought, wow. And so I said, okay, I mean, this is outrageous. Here is a small startup car company on the West Coast, obviously very confident about lithium-ion batteries, is going to go into production with this car, and we, many of us would still say technologically the most competent, didn't always show it, but technologically the most competent car company in the world, and we say it can't be done. So then we got into the, well, maybe let's take a look phase, which was the beginning of the Volt development. Whether Tesla is ever hugely successful or not, I'll always owe him a debt of gratitude for having kind of broken the ice.
Bob Lutz being a champion of electric cars is quite a switch from the Bob Lutz we used to know. He sold the board on the fact that this technology would leapfrog Toyota, which had been GM's nemesis.
The electric car was pushed all the way up the ladder by Lutz himself in a way that is very, very personal, a way that suggests he regards it as his legacy at the company.
How is the Chevy Volt doing?
Last I checked, it's doing well.
Yeah.
And
it's done everything you intended it for to do.
Yes, and what it is people keep thinking, well, the Chevy Volt is a failure because they only do this many a month. This is all production related. I mean, we're still in the ramp-up phase, and it's only being distributed in certain parts of the country right now. We started with California and with Washington, D.C., and it was, remember Coors Beer, you know, it sort of did its long march across the United States. Yeah, right. It's kind of that way with the Chevy Volt. Chevy Volt is doing extremely well, and in terms of customer satisfaction, it's just about off the chart. I've driven a lot of things during my long career, and to drive a fully electric car, lap after lap after lap around the grounds here, I really had the feeling of it being a historic moment. Certainly was in my career.
Are you on board that the United States should lose its addiction to oil?
I would certainly hope so. Yeah. And certainly, primarily, I would like to see it lose its addiction to imported oil. That would be the highest priority.
Whether it's Canada or anywhere else.
Well, I mean, let's say friendly Canadian tar sands would be in the. I would count that as domestic.
Yeah, probably true.
Making gasoline out of. I mean, if we have a need for petroleum products in the future, and we will for many more years, because electrification of the car fleet is not going to occur totally within the next 10 to 20 years.
Is the electric car back from the dead?
Well, you could argue, was it ever dead? Because I think people were, even after we recalled the EV1s, there were still electric vehicles out there. But I think it's back with a vengeance, and I would say the electrification of the automobile is a foregone conclusion. It's going to be a gradual transition, and I would say the electrification of the automobile is a foregone conclusion. It's going to be a gradual transition. Meanwhile, we'll still need a lot of oil. We'll need oil for jetliners and so forth. But, you know, the Germans fought World War II with the liquefaction of coal and making gasoline out of coal. There's something, and we've got the world's largest coal deposits. The technology to make gasoline out of it exists, and nobody's talking about it. I don't understand it.
All right. You accept his idea that he doesn't believe that global warming is produced by man activities, human beings' activities.
Well,
you don't believe that, do you?
So
he's going to get himself in trouble like I did.
No. So the way I look at the CO2 thing is that we're running an experiment, which is to see what the CO2 capacity of the oceans and atmosphere is before Earth gets cooked. I don't think that's a wise experiment. That experiment, let's say that experiment is 99% likely to show that CO2 is no problem, but 1% likely to show that it's going to cook the planet. I don't think we want to take that 1% chance. It's just not smart.
You think 1% is the right number?
I think it's more than 1%.
You think it's what?
Well, it depends on when and how many trillions of CO2 get pumped into the atmosphere. Yeah. There's no question that at a certain level, it will destroy the Earth, or destroy large portions of the Earth. The question is just what is that level, and how soon do we stop pumping vast quantities of CO2 into the atmosphere? Given that oil and even coal are a finite resource, it doesn't seem to make sense that we would run that experiment when we have to get off them anyway, because they're simply finite.
What was your motivation to do all this?
So my motivation, actually, for all my companies has been that to be involved in something that I thought would have a significant effect on the world. And when I was in college, there were three areas that I thought would most affect the world. One was the internet, the other was sustainable energy, both production and consumption, and the third was space exploration, particularly making life multiplanetary. So as things have turned out, I've been able to be involved in all three.
What are you doing in terms of the planetary exploration?
SpaceX.
A private rocket company.
Yeah, so NASA selected my company, SpaceX.
Well, I want you to tell them about it.
Oh, okay, sure. I run two companies, Tesla and SpaceX. Right. SpaceX is short for Space Exploration Technologies, and we build giant rockets and spacecraft, and NASA selected us to take over the cargo transport function of the space shuttle. We'll be doing our first mission to the space station hopefully in January. So that'll be a big milestone. We've done several rocket launches already. And we build the whole rocket from scratch in California, actually. From raw metal comes in, we build the engines, the structure, avionics, guidance, control, and then we launch from Cape Canaveral, and we will be launching.
This makes him your kind of guy, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. He's a hardware guy.
I should may I say that I really like Bob Lutz.
Yeah.
By the way,
did you read his book here, though? Car Guys versus Bean Counters?
I've not received a copy of his book.
Well, you heard him talking about it, and you told me you agreed with most of the things he said.
Yes, I actually agree with most of the things that Bob says, and I have a lot of respect for Bob. I just want that to be clear, because sometimes people make it out that somehow I don't like Bob, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for Bob and think he's awesome.
Well, you want to come here and peer with him?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what's the biggest challenge for the, how did you say, the electrification of the fleet?
I think Bob articulated it well, which is that we have a vast number of vehicles that are gasoline. We need to make, therefore, a vast number of compelling electric vehicles. Just spooling up that production line and switching out the install base will take decades. So we will have, and switching out the install base will take decades. So we will have an addiction to oil for some period of time. The question is really, can we minimize that time, and in doing so, minimize the potential damage to the environment?
All right. Much success to you.
Thank you.
The Tesla S will be available when?
We will start deliveries in July of next year.
In July of 2012.
Yeah, we're already sold out of next year's production, though.
And what's the annual production?
We will be producing at about 20,000 units a year, although since it takes a little bit of time for the production line to spool up, we'll be producing about 5,000 or 6,000 cars next year.
And where are they produced? Where are they
California.
In California?
Yeah. Fremont.
Yeah. It's the old Toyota GM plant called NUMMI.
All right. Great to see you again.